Well, hello, good evening, everyone, or good morning, good afternoon, depending on if you're watching the recording. We are thrilled you are here. We have a workshop designed for parents and guardians. We're typically used to working with teachers and students, but we're thrilled to be able to work with our parent and guardian community as well. So welcome to you all. This is a link you will see to the resource for today, and I'm just going to post that in the chat for you. So you'll notice down at the bottom of the page there, the cc.page/Google Parents, and again, post it over in the chat. That's your resource for today. So anything we go over, it's in that slide deck. You'll be able to see it. You'll be able to refer back to it. So hang on to that link. Scroll back in the chat if you've missed it when I switch the slide, but that's got all the info we're going to be going over today. Before we begin, however, if you've ever been a part of any of our workshops, we always start things off with a land acknowledgement. And so today I would like to acknowledge that I am presenting on Treaty 7 territory. So I'm based in Calgary. This is the Indigenous lands of the Blackfoot, but all around us we have the Tsuut'ina, the Kainai, Stoney Nakoda, the Métis are here. Just really such a rich area full of different cultures. And I found out about all of those lands around me by going to native-land.ca. So you'll see that on the screen. I'm going to post that into the chat for us as well. If you haven't had a chance to take a peek at that website, native-land.ca, well, what a rich resource of information about the lands where you reside. So again, my acknowledgement and thanks for those that came before me. Who am I? My name is Michelle Armstrong. I am one of the co-founders of the Cobblestone Collective. Like I mentioned, based in Calgary, and I'm part of the Cobblestone Collective, who is a Google for Education partner. And so we love all things Google. Truth be told, we love all things technology, and we love to teach anybody about anything tech, but tonight it's all about Google. So who is this Cobblestone Collective? If you haven't heard of us before, we are a group of educators or former educators that just want to share our knowledge of all things tech. And so I work alongside probably about 40 different consultants, current educators. You're going to meet one of them in just a little bit, but we're just kind of a wealth of kind of geeky people that love technology. So that's a little bit about us. Let's talk a little bit about you. So we are coming to you via YouTube Live. Perhaps you're watching the recording. That's awesome. Perhaps you're watching live. Well, guess what? You can also watch the recording later. This will be here until infinity. You can pause at any point. You can rewind. But definitely, if you're watching the replay, thanks for finding us. If you are here live, we want to know in the chat, let us know if you have any questions. Maybe you want to let us know just who you are and where you're coming from. We just kind of want to know that there are people out there listening to us. But if you do have any questions, let us know tonight in the chat, or if you are joining us and you are watching the recording, you can always email us at help@cobblestonecollective.ca. I'm going to throw that in the chat for you as well. Any questions you have tech related, that team of consultants, if they don't know the answer, they'll know someone who knows the answer. So don't hesitate to reach out to us, help@cobblestonecollective.ca, and we would be happy to answer any questions you have. Okay, what next? What is our plan for today? So today is just a tippy toe into all things that make up Google Workspace for Education. So Google Workspace is this giant suite of tools that include Google Chrome. That's the browser that you're probably watching this YouTube video from. Google Drive, Google Slides. We've got Google Drawings you may not have heard about. That's my personal favorite. Google Classroom, Sites, Sheets, Gmail, Calendar. There's a number of geo tools. We can even go further with Chrome. But tonight, we are just going to scratch that surface of that iceberg. just to let you know, all of these tools that are at the fingertips of your children in their classrooms. If you are an educator and you're tuning in, awesome, yay. Maybe you're going to learn a few more tools that you can use in your classroom as well. So, like I mentioned, tonight is a tippy toe into these tools. But in 2 weeks' time, starting on April 18th, we are running a deep dive 10-part series where we are going to take our time and we're going to dive into each of these tools. So instead of just a little bit, the highlights like we're going to do tonight, we are going to spend a full hour on each one of those tools in our 10-part series. It's every Tuesday and Thursday starting April 18th. The link is there for you. I'm going to put the link in the chat as well. Check it out. However, you will notice that is available for bulk purchase only. So this series came to us. We had a number of requests from some parent councils here in Alberta. There is some funding out there for exactly this type of thing, workshops to help parents learn more. So they asked us, hey, would you develop something that can help parents learn more? We're like, yeah, that'd be cool. And so your parent council may have already purchased this for you. Maybe your school board has purchased this for you. Maybe your school purchased it. Regardless, definitely take a look, ask the school principal, ask your parent council representative, ask the superintendent if they've already signed up for this, because if they have, they've got a magic password that is going to get you full access to all 10 workshops, deep diving into the things that we're going to just go into itty bitty bitty tonight. And your team for tonight. So you're kind of probably wondering, why am I doing all of this talking? Well, guess what? I'm part of your team tonight. So I'm going to be here, but I'm kind of going to be just backing up your main presenter for the evening. If you remember what I said earlier, the Cobblestone Collective, we are made up of a team of about 40 consultants, current educators, people much smarter than me, that help us do what we do. And we have one of my favorites, also an Alberta girl. She is here with us, Bailey Allenberg. Welcome.
Hello.
Bailey, why don't you tell us just a little bit about you, where you're from, and we already told them kind of the sneak peek of what you're going to be showing us tonight. But yeah, tell us, who are you?
Awesome. I'm Bailey Allenberg. I'm a literacy coordinator with Prairie Land Schools, which is in a little tiny school division in East Central Alberta. I am super excited to be here with you all tonight. Part of my work on the regular is working with school councils to make sure that everybody is working in the same direction, supporting kiddos in all of their learning needs. So I can't tell you how excited I am to be here with you all today. It's going to be great.
It is, and it's going to be fast. Okay, ready, parents, guardians, fasten those seatbelts. Click, click, because I think we're going to start things off with Google Chrome. Bailey, what do you got to tell us about Google Chrome?
All right. Well, Google Chrome, if you're not already using it, is I have a whole bunch of metaphors for us tonight, Michelle. So just be ready. But I think I would call Google Chrome Google's wagon. It's, you got to have one to get somewhere. Google Chrome is their web browser. So you might be familiar with one if you use an Android phone. It's already kind of there. If you have a Chromebook, it's already there. Maybe you've already installed it on your other device and use it as a browser already. I use it all the time as my own browser because my school division is a Google division. So that means that all the work I do and all the work my students do and my colleagues do just really integrates really, really nicely with Google Chrome. So I know I hear often, I got 3 kids. They're all set up on Google Classroom. I don't really know what to do. in terms of like, oh, here's a funny story. I am working with one of my colleagues, and her son logs on to Google Meets all the time with us, but it's her under her son's login name. And she's like, Bailey, I can't keep this straight. I have his login name and I want to appear like me because I'm a professional. And I was like, perfect. I got the tool for you. They're called Google Profiles, Chrome Profiles. So you'll see there on our slides, I have a picture of it, but I think it would work best if I just kind of showed you.
That would be great. Awesome. So
here we go, Michelle.
There we go. Now we see your screen. So what Bailey's doing, so each of these tools, you're going to notice Bailey is going to just give us like, okay, if you could only know one thing about each of these tools, okay, we might cheat and show you 2 or 3. But this one thing, especially for parents, if you're fighting with this, who's logged in? Why is this account opening my docs? Bailey's going to show you now. Get ready. Here you go, Bailey. Okay. You're up.
So I can't zoom in on this. I wish that I could, but you can see my like little tiny face. You have my big face here, my little tiny face up in the right-hand corner of my screen. That's the profile that I'm using Chrome with right now. So if I click on that, can you see it okay, Michelle?
No, do you know what, Bailey? I believe because you're sharing a tab, it's not showing your drop down. So now we're going to show, just share that whole.
I'll share my whole screen.
Nice. And this, some of you parents, you're going to be like, okay, you see this, and it's like, okay, I'm done. I don't have to watch anymore. Go ahead, Bailey. Now you are back.
So now you can see my little tiny face up here. I'm not talking about my like slightly bigger face. I'm talking about this face up here. Now this works if you're logged into a Chrome browser on like a Windows computer or your Android computers. It won't work for Chromebooks because it's so easy to log in and out of users. But up here, I'm clicking on this, and you can see that I've actually already created Chrome profiles. So if I log in to say my UAlberta login, my UAlberta Gmail address is what this is, it's going to open up a new tab that you probably can't see. But if I switch my view for you, you will see this tab, this window. Here we go. And now, through the magic of television, you can see that it's green. And you can see that my icon is now my like faceless icon. I don't have a profile picture for my UAlberta account, but I'm now browsing Google as my UAlberta Gmail account. So if I join a Google Meet, if I open up a Google Doc, if I answer a form, if I open up my Gmail, this is going to be my UAlberta Gmail. So just like that, I'm able to switch between accounts. So kids accounts, your professional account and your personal account, there's lots of capability here. One other thing I'd love to show you, Michelle, is something that I see kids using all the time, and parents see it and they're like, what? They can do that? So I'm right in Google Chrome. I worked today with a class of grade 2 kids who did this because we had to do a little bit of research on robots. And they were like, I need to Google search how robots work. So they clicked this search by voice button and they said, how do robots work? And then they Google searched without any typing because we know our little kids struggle with that fine motor control of typing. So that kind of accessibility, I'm really excited to tell you about throughout all the tools tonight, that there's awesome accessibility everywhere throughout Google Tools.
Yep, for sure. Awesome. And Bailey, I did put in the chat, or anybody watching, even if you're watching the recording, take a look over in the chat. I gave you a whole support article on Chrome profiles, just like Bailey showed you. And I'm going to put my slide deck back on the screen, and I want to show you, just like Bailey. Oh, see, you actually can't see my upper bar. But remember, Bailey had 2 pictures. She had her top profile, but then you also have kind of the bigger head right inside your Google Workspace. You'll notice I only have 1 profile in this first one. That's where you run into problems. If you have more than 1 profile stuck in that lower profile picture, that brings you all the problems. But yep, that one that's up higher, I have probably about 12 set up on mine. Okay, Bailey, next we are going to go into Google Drive.
Okay, Google Drive, my nemesis. Because I cannot organize files to save my life. I just, my Google Drive is a disaster zone. I'm telling you, I have my coordinator work, I have my classroom work, I have my university work. It's all in there, but I have a system. So do not fear. There are ways that you can help your kid or you can help yourself search in Google Drive to find exactly what you need, like at the click of a button, basically. So metaphor again, before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Google Drive is the filing cabinet of Google. So this is where all of your docs go, all of your sheets go, and this is the easiest place to access all of that collaborative work that you do in Google. It all lives in Google Drive. So to get to Google Drive, oops, I thought I was sharing my screen and I wasn't.
Oh dear, that's okay.
Here we go.
And I love this that you're going to show this, Bailey. I always mention to people, what's Google known for? Google is known for search. So if we're not harnessing the power of search, especially inside Google Drive, we're missing out. So, all right, to get to Google Drive.
Yes, okay. To get to Google Drive, I just type drive.google.com, or beside my face, normally there's a grid here. It's not loading for some reason. I can click on that imaginary grid. I know where it is by feel, and I can choose Drive. Now, you with a Google account have access to this service, Google Drive. Now, I know that my child's teacher, Miss Duffield, shared a document about history the other day, and I can't find it. We're working hard on social. We're trying to stay on top of it. I'm just going to search for Darian Duffield's name here. Where is it? I saw it come up. There it is. And now in my Drive, there's lots in here. I can see every document that is owned by Darian Duffield, which means this is all of the assignments from my classroom that Darian Duffield is a part of. So I can just go through here and look, it was this historical writing piece that we were looking for. Okay, this is new since I have actually closely looked at it, but they've actually even made it even simpler for us, and they've created their filters right at the top. So I'm still in Google Drive, and I can filter where this file is. Is it in my own drive, or did somebody share it with me? Or maybe I threw it out. Yes, you can find things in your trash. You can also be like, I know that it was a Google slide deck. I know it was a presentation. So I'm going to click that to narrow it down even farther. And I can also say, I know that I worked on it this week. So the way you can narrow your search to really find what you're working on is really helpful. Now, there are other ways to organize Drive, but if this is the kind of thing of like, I can't find that doc, you can search your Drive just like you would search Google. It's amazing, Michelle, and I absolutely love it. I use it often. I teach kids how to use it. I teach parents how to use it. It's just a great tool all around.
And I have to throw in my two favorite tips. Tip one, so we'll go back. Let's just go. This is Google Drive we're talking about. But tip one is, Bailey showed you the trash. If you have those students that say, oh, I can't find it. Well, maybe you put it in the trash. Yeah. Oh, well, it's not in the trash. Guess what? If a student deletes a file from the trash, it says delete forever. So if your child did, in fact, delete it forever, our IT people can even still recover that for 26 more days. So if there is that was just kind of a fun anecdote, but if there is anything that your child did delete by mistake, check with the IT admin. They can quite likely recover that for you. That's thing one. Thing two, Google search, Bailey, that you mentioned, what blows my mind, if I search playground, for example, it shows all the files that have the word playground in it. it will also find all of the pictures in my Google Drive that it thinks kind of look like a playground. So it's also an image search as well, which I think is amazing. Okay, Google Drive. 10-part series. We'll be able to go into Google Drive for an hour, but we don't have that time today. Google Slides. We could do 5 hours on Google Slides.
Oh yeah, Google Slides is, you know, this is near and dear to my heart. I work every day in Google Slides for everything. So, okay, I always think of the sketch of Michael from The Office not knowing what a PowerPoint is and doing the PowerPoint. So that era of presentation tools is way beyond us now. I mean, I still create Google Slides. You're actually looking at a Google slide deck right now to present information. But the reality is we have so much to harness in Google Slides that it's unbelievable. So Michelle has a link to some like wild goodness for you. I want to show you a few design tools that will help you help your student, help your personal child to maybe like wow their teacher a little bit. Okay, first, a really helpful tip. Any Google tool, if you want to open up a new document, just type that tool.new. So I'm going to type slides.new and press enter. And then I have a brand new Google Slides. You can also create new slides through Google Drive, and your child is definitely familiar with that. But if you want to be like, I got one up on you, I know how to do slides.new, it'll make them a little bit excited.
And on that note, Bailey, so yeah, just slides.new, boom, creates the new slides file and saves it right in your Google Drive.
Yep. I'm going to rename it because of my Google Drive pit that you all saw. I'll call it Demo for Parents. That's just good practice. It's good. One of those good like tech skills to teach your students and your children from the get-go, right? Okay. Right now, this is just a normal slide. It's boring. I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to scroll all the way down to Page Setup. And I'm going to click here. Whenever there's a little, like, we call them shark tooths on our team, shark teeth. Whenever there's a button down, that's something you can click on. I'm going to make this custom, and I'm going to make it a paper size, 8.5 by 11. Okay, how many of you have to make posters for the work you do on your parent council? I bet all of you. You now have, with your Google Drive account, a poster making machine that is way easier than Google. Well, I see a lot of people using Google Docs still for design, use Google Slides for design, but this is just the perfect tool for really quickly putting together a really simple design. So I can choose to insert. Insert is where you want to go for this work. I can insert some text, and I'm going to call it a cupcake sale.
And this is this word art that you're using? Oh, I love word art.
Yeah, and you can change the text of it. I can change it to Comforta, which is boring, but there's lots of exciting texts in Google as well. So all of those editing tools you are really familiar with on whatever word processor you're using are right here in Google Slides to harness. Okay, that's like the very, very tip of the iceberg of cool. There are some awesome new things in Google Slides, like these diagrams. How many times has your kid brought home a project of like, Mom, I need to make the timeline of the Confederation of Canada for Social 7. And you're like, okay, we're getting the construction paper, we're getting the glue, we're making a timeline. You can make a timeline in Google Slides, and it's as easy. Watch how easy this is. Insert, diagram, timeline. I'm going to highlight 6 important dates on my timeline, and I want it to be purple. And just like that, I have a timeline. Now, it doesn't look super great because my page setup is strange. So I'm just going to go back to File, Page Setup, and do this.
So you can do landscape. I mean, you just go 11 by 8.5 instead of 8.5 by 11.
Oh, yes.
Prints perfectly on a sheet of paper.
Yeah. And all of this is perfectly editable. So I can say, this is the year 1887. Oh, hello. I'm not a perfect text editor right now, apparently.
Well, and you're kind of under pressure here too, Bailey. Like this is like, we got to pack a lot in.
I'm so excited to share it all with you. There we go. 1887. It's just as easy as entering the text right there. So you can see the possibilities here. I know you can. It's amazing.
And all of those text boxes, you can move them around. You can then change the colors even more. And that was insert, diagram, timeline. There's all sorts of other goodness in there.
I know you're itching to share the wild goodness. I have one more cool thing to share.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so this is a really boring timeline. I am going to go to insert. Okay, picture this. You're sitting at the kitchen table like I am right now. You're trying to support your child with their Confederation timeline homework for their grade 7 class. And you're like, oh, just pick a picture, please. In Google Slides, you can search Google Images right from Google Slides. So you don't have to do that endless scrolling. I'm going to search for Voyageurs here. And look at that. Right there, I can these are really high quality pictures that Google's already screened for share alike privileges and Creative Commons use. And it's as easy as double clicking it and it ends up in my slide on my timeline. And there I am ready to do the hard work really of talking about the Voyageurs. Right there, insert image, search the web.
Love that. So good. Hey, and then also, Bailey, I just want to remind anyone, if you are watching this live, you can pause at any point. I know it's going fast. Chances are good you're watching a recording. So all of these little snippets, yeah, feel free to pause, go back, check out slides, and then come on back because we're going to dive into some more cool tools. But that's right. We have this other magic link that I'm going to share. So I'm going to take over screen sharing. I am going to share a whole entire window because it's that good. All right. So you should be seeing on my screen. This is Black Gold School Division out of Leduc, Alberta. This is their Engaging Students website. There's all sorts of goodness on here. I'm going to put the link in the chat in just a second. But before I do, I got to show you what you want the link for. So Black Gold School Division, Darren Malte in particular and his team. Darren is one of our extended team here at the Cobblestone Collective as well. They have collected templates for you or your students to use. They can make copies of these, but check it out. We've got, speaking of Voyageurs, we've got kind of a little old school Voyageurs poster. We've got some little postcards all about me. Ooh, we've got some letters. Forbes magazine cover. I want to show you one because Bailey had it in one of her slides I think she snuck into, but this is my favorite. So if you scroll down, you'll see National Geographic magazine cover. This is Google Slides, 8.5 by 11, already laid out for your child or you. And all we need to do is go File, make a copy, file, make a copy. We copy that entire presentation. Boom, it's ours. It's saved in our drive. We can change this into whatever story we want. So again, that's just one example. Look at all of this goodness. So the link for you all to find the Black Gold Engaging Students Google Slides designs is right there in the chat for you. Thank you to Darren and to Black Gold.
So Michelle, you're going to share Google Drawings next, and I'm realizing that we need to go quicker than I had planned to do this what's sticking. So I just want to share with everybody that the stance that educators are using with these tools isn't about the computer lab of my day of like, make a presentation, I'm going to mark your presentation. The way that educators are using these tools is to really empower learning and really empower students to show evidence of what they know. So tools like Darren's magazine templates are really great because they take a lot of the pressure off of the creation aspect. And when we're focusing on the learning piece, a lot of us get really hung up on like, well, it has to look good. And of course it has to look good. But part of our work is empowering our students, empowering our children to create really beautiful projects that still showcase their learning, because all of what we do is in the pursuit of good learning. So that's my little soapbox about why we use tools like this. And Michelle's going to show you another tool that's perfect for this.
Yeah, and so it's not like it's taking shortcuts or anything. It's like, what's our purpose? Let's get the content out there. Awesome. And make it look cool really easily. So great point, Bailey. Thank you so much for that. All right, the next featured tool is Google Drawings. Now, Google Drawings and Google Slides actually can do pretty much these same things, but drawings is just more if we want to have an actual work of art rather than a slide deck. We're going to come on over to Google Drawings. So let me go back to my other screen, which I'm getting lost here. Here we go. I think this is my Google Drawings. So just like Bailey went into slides, we would just go into our Google Drive, go new, Google Drawings file, and it takes us here. An interface that looks fairly similar to all of the other interfaces. I was going to try and zoom in here a smidge. Awesome. We have our toolbars at the top. We have untitled drawing, which we want to make sure to give our items a name. But we've got a number of tools. Like I say, you'll find these tools in Google Slides as well. But as Bailey mentioned, anytime you see that shark tooth, I always say, click on it. There's presents underneath. But the presents inside Google Drawings, we have line tools, arrow tools, curve tools, polyline tools. We can do freehand drawing as well. Once you get used to using these tools, I just did polyline. I can draw whatever kind of shape I want. I can go into the curve tool, and then that lets me kind of have some control over my shapes. You're kind of looking at me like, this doesn't really look like artwork yet, Michelle. Just you wait. Include this with other tools like the shapes you find inside Google Drawings. We can insert our own images from the web elsewhere. And if you have those amazing teachers out there, like another one of our consultants, Miss Emma Cottier, I just want to go through an art gallery. Those tools that I just showed you seem like, okay, it's kind of a Mickey Mouse drawing piece of software. These are actual student works of art from those much more artistic than me, like this grade 8 student who recreated an Elise Dodge art piece of artwork. So this is drawn in Google Drawings. We had some inspiration from the Barren Ground, so novel studies, also grade 8, drawn inside Google Drawings. A Ted Harrison recreation, again. I'm going to stop saying it, I guess, but these are just curved tools and outlines. Google Drawings. This is based on one of her students' personal photographs. Grade 8. Grade 8 architecture unit. The Outsiders. Oh my goodness, more. So this is Monica Morell inspiration. And now it's not the artist, it's not Monica Morell that did this. This is inspired by. So our students are looking at artworks out there in our real world and able to recreate those inside Google Drawings. Grade 8. This was a rectangle challenge. You could only use rectangles in your artwork. Amazing. We have some more Monica Morell. There's some more Elise Dodge, more Outsiders. I'm going to go through these a bit quickly, but you get the idea. Holy smokes. We can also create posters. There's our timelines, nice and pretty. Wanted posters as well. We've got some mind maps. Oh my goodness. Inspired by your family, friends. Inspired by musical artists, film and actors, historical figures, pop culture, change
and as
in
you scroll, Michelle, the skills here are more than just the skill of creating a piece of art. There's a ton of computer literacy skills happening here too. So students are practicing clicking and dragging with precision. Students are practicing that backing up and redoing things. They're practicing their digital literacy, and like there's a lot of color palette work happening here and choosing the correct colors. So these are way more than meets the eye. There's a ton here that as an educator, my heart just soars thinking about how engaged these kids are in creating these beautiful pieces of work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
For sure. So there you go. Little known, Google Drawings really has a lot of power to it. And with that, Bailey, we'll turn it back to you. This time, let's go on over to Google Classroom.
My favorite. So a little known secret. I guess it's not really a little known secret because I tell everybody. I had a paperless classroom and I was an English teacher. Now you might say, Bailey, I don't believe you because English teachers have to mark English papers. I use Google Classroom. So Google Classroom is really hard to capture with a simple metaphor because it does so much. So the metaphor is it's a classroom. Think about all of the work that happens in the course of a classroom. So we have students sitting at their desk doing work. We have students collaborating together. We have teachers assessing work and giving feedback. We have people talking to one another and communicating. We have due dates up on the board. All of this that's in our brick and mortar classrooms also exists in Google Classroom. So I'm just going to go to classroom.google.com, and I'm very certain that many of you out there are familiar with Google Classroom. It's a really well utilized tool by educators of the Google Education Workspace. So I'm going to enter a classroom and go ahead.
I don't know if we see your Google Classroom. We are still seeing your slide deck.
Okay, perfect. No worries.
Let's try again.
We'll go to the right page. Now you can see. All right. I'm going to enter my classroom and you will see there's this whole front page. And this front page is really important to teachers for building that community in their classroom. But if you're looking to support your kiddo with their work, what you're going to often want to look towards is this classwork page. And this is where teachers have the ability to assign work to their students. Now, this one's a little messy because I haven't cleaned it up recently, but you can see here that in my demo class, I've said that this is the work that my grade 5 classroom is working on today. Okay, I'm going to use that handy dandy tool, Michelle, my profile switchers, and I'm just going, oh, I don't know where that is. Okay, at any rate, I'm not going to pull it up right now because it might take me a little while. Are you still in my classroom, Michelle? Can you see it?
Yes, we can still see your screen for sure. But yeah, I don't think we can switch between your profiles when you're screen sharing.
Let's not worry about it. The people tab is a really handy way for parents to stay in contact with teachers. So on your child's view of this page, when they click on people, there's going to be a little envelope next to their teacher's name. So this class happens to have 2 teachers in it, but there will be a little envelope here. And that, when you click on it, opens it right up in Gmail. So I really love Classroom because it really streamlines the communication between parents and teachers. Now, I do get asked a lot, can I log into Classroom as a parent? You can't. The real true intent of classrooms is for that document sharing and that really collaborative work. So what I encourage parents to do, and I'm sure many parents are already doing this, is take a look at your Google Classroom, at your child's Google Classroom with them. It's something that our kids are using every single day or at least every single week. And so they'll be familiar with how it works. And it's a really good way. It's sort of like, when your kid used to bring home a binder and it would sit on the counter and you'd maybe take a flip for it. This is the exact same thing. Flipping through a binder, flipping through a Google Classroom will be really similar. Now, there are these tools called Guardian Summaries in Google Classroom. And that is how you kind of get a background view of what's happening in the Google Classroom as a parent. So it will send you daily or weekly emails, depending on how the teacher set it up, based on what's happening in that classroom. And I know from my own experience as an educator, this isn't entirely seamless. Sometimes I forgot to turn in or to mark finished an assignment in Google Classroom. So it looked like it was unfinished. And I would often get that email of like, whoa, why is my kid missing this? And I'd have to go into my classroom. So it's not fail proof. I will honestly tell you that, but it is a really great way for you to have that connection to the classroom that often exists in a binder, but now for some teachers and in some classrooms is purely digital. So a Google Classroom is a great way. A Google Classroom Guardian Summary is a great way for you to see into the nuts and bolts of it all.
Yeah, I suppose just on that though, depending on the way that your school board has things set up, they may or may not have allowed guardian summaries. But that's just something, check with the teacher. Teacher can check with the IT people and just see, hey, but if they're turned on, that teacher will be able to invite you to receive your communication directly from the Google Classroom, which is fabulous.
Right.
What else you got for us in Classroom? Anything?
Yeah, I have two more things just really quickly. Google Classroom, like I said, it also functions as that list in the whiteboard of due dates. And don't forget the sheet. Those two buttons I have highlighted right here at the top of the classwork page, the Google Calendar and the Class Drive folder are really good ways for you to get kind of that higher level overview of what's going on. So the Google Calendar, I'll show you in a little bit, actually populates all the due dates into Google Calendar from Google Classroom. So my older students really love this feature. So I would often, I tried to keep really true to this is the day it's due. I'm putting it as the due date in Google Classroom. So then it showed up on their Google calendars and they would get their notifications of like, you know, you have this coming up. So that's an awesome way to support students in building those tools that adults use often, like calendars and reminders that's already built into the tools we're using. So that's a good way to support your older kid and how they're using the Google tools as their like adult life of having calendars and sharing calendars and having files and drive folders going.
Right. Like just helping them be organized. It's like the home base of like everything you need. We got it here for you. But when you get out into the real world, you're on your own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so Google Classroom, I could nerd on about it for weeks at a time. It's a really cool teacher tool. And I know parents and guardians are like, okay, I see that that's like the equivalent of a textbook. You get really excited about a textbook. I'm not going to get excited about a textbook, but do your thing. So that's Google Classroom in a nutshell for you.
Love that. What do we got next? Are we heading over to Google Sites next?
We're doing Google Sites, which I think is one of Google's better kept secrets, even though it's not a secret. Google Sites, in my opinion, Michelle, what do you think? It's seen like the biggest overhaul in recent memory.
Oh, yes, the changes for sure. But again,
Yes.
just to make it easier and just look so much nicer. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking about parent councils right now, school councils. I know you have information to get to people, and I know you get sick of sending emails. So what I'm going to demo for you is through the lens of somebody who's engaged in parent councils. So a Google site is a really perfect way. It's drag and drop. What you see is what you get with Sigu. is the way you build these websites. And they're so simple that I just last week supported 7-year-olds in building their own Google site. So it's as easy as going to sites.google.com and clicking blank or choosing a template that Google has already created. I'm actually going to go back and look at those templates a little more closely with you. So lots of teachers I know have their classroom sites using this template because it's so straightforward and easy. We're doing a lot of work with high school students lately around building that digital presence and having a digital portfolio, and a Google site is a really great way to do that. So when they are Googled for an eventual job interview, which is a part of hiring processes now, they'll have their own curated kind of persona online that they've controlled by making their own Google site, for example. You could also have a club. So I'm going to click on this club template because it actually looks pretty good. And it's going to make a new Google site for me. And I'm going to call this one Somewhereville.
While you're doing that, Bailey, I want to just jump in too, just to make sure it's clear that you're creating a website, just the same, almost like when you went into the slides in Google Drive, you went into Docs, you go into any of the Google tools, it looks the same, you press new, and then what? We're creating a website that when we say publish, it's live and the world can see it. So yeah, super cool and so easy.
So easy. And these templates are awesome too. I'm just realizing the power of them actually. It's basically a web designer has given you the work they would do on building a website and saying, do this. So here is the coolest thing. Google Sites is obviously integrated into our Google Workspace. I see up here there's an events page. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of how to go into these. That's what that 1 hour long session on Google Sites is for. And trust me, it's going to be meaningful. But this Google Google Sites page, I can add a Google Calendar. Let me see which one I should add. I'm going to add my demo class, and there might not be anything show up here, but I showed you that classroom calendar was created. This is that classroom calendar that's public, and I'm going to insert it into my web page. And if I had done that magic of television thing, there would already be events here that I'm not having to add to a calendar, that all I'm doing is adding them to a Google Calendar, and then my web page is automatically updating it. So I am in charge of content in one place without having to remember, okay, I need to update the poster that we have posted at the school, and I need to update the web page, and I need to make a new image to upload there, and I need to make sure I email all the parents. No, I have a Google Calendar embedded into a Google site. That's here. Now, go ahead, Michelle.
No, because I'm just, parents, hopefully like your wheels are turning about like, oh, wait, okay, my child can use a Google site for their class, maybe an e-portfolio, something like that. But wait a second, I could use a Google site. Parents, if you have a Google account, a Gmail account, you can create your own Google site. It's softball season just starting up for my family. And wow, wouldn't that be cool if the team had a Google site? All the pictures are there, the calendar's just embedded. Anyways, yes, the possibilities are endless.
I'm gonna hack a little bit here because we aren't talking about Google Docs, but I gotta show you this. So Google Docs has meeting agenda templates. I'm just gonna make a new one. It's doing its magic. It's going to build it. I'm gonna call it School Council Meeting Notes.
I see what you're doing. You're weaving all of the tools.
Okay, so this document, Google is fully collaborative. This document, your secretary could add to, your president could add to, your treasurer could add to, without having to share files back and forth. But Google Sites, we're focusing on Google Sites. Okay, parents, there's a parent council, school council meeting coming up next week. Please take a look at our web page where I have embedded from my Google Drive the most recent school council agenda. Okay, I talked about that calendar being awesome. I'm just going to go to this preview page so you can see what the web page will look like. So I've done it on councils that I sit on. Oh, we forgot to add that piece to the agenda. You can just update it. And this document is live attached to this. So let me type test here and quickly refresh this page so you can see, hopefully, don't fail me, Google. Oh, it didn't show up immediately. It takes about 15 seconds sometimes. There it is. There it is, updated 15 seconds after I was like, I forgot to add this reminder to it. That's unbelievable productivity and efficiency to me. We're all busy, especially people that are engaged in school councils. So being able to keep this stuff lined up easily, I think is priceless to you. So I'd really encourage you, all of the tools we're going to be exploring in this 10 session series, really look at how Google Sites can serve the work that you do, as well as how your students are using it.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. My goodness. We might have to change it to a 20-part series, Bailey. Just thinking about everything, all the possibilities.
Yes.
All right. Well, on that note, we have 10 minutes left. We might have to roll a little bit faster. Those of you watching the recording, just that reminder, just pause, rewind. But I think we're going to get a little bit speedy at the end here.
For sure. Okay, Google Forms. If you aren't using Google Forms, you should be, because we know that we have to capture lots of data from people. And I'm sure that working with schools that you have actually filled in a Google form before. So forms are, really simply put, just a way of gathering a database from people. So I'm just going to create a blank one and just demo for you how much, there we go. How much is this blowing your mind?
And parents, just so you also know, these are being used by teachers. Your students are doing their quizzes in Google Forms. There might be, oh my gosh, maybe there's some special field trip and you've received those forms, for them to collect that data. If there is ever a time where you are receiving emails, like 20 of them, different requests about the same thing, consider you could just have a Google form, collect all that data in one spot. So that's what Bailey's showing us here.
So I was just filling out my own form about how much I'm blowing my own mind. But now if I go to responses on my form, I can see I have 3 responses. 66% of respondees say so much. Okay, that's cool, but this is cooler. Link to Sheets. If you need multiple people to see this information, you click that handy link to Sheets button, and now all of those responses, I've only clicked one button, are living in a Google Sheet that you can share with the people that you work on a team with. So teachers are using this all the time for assessments, for field trip forms, literally endless Google Forms in the course of my day. I'm sure you've seen it, but the back end is so powerful. That's Google Sheets in like 2 minutes. Amazing. Okay. Michelle, Gmail and Google Calendar.
Oh boy.
Okay, we're lots of people joining us today probably live in Gmail and Google Calendar all of the time. I'm just gonna go into my Gmail and I'm gonna zoom in real quick. So this is my Gmail. Trust me, I just don't want to show you all my embarrassing unread emails that I haven't got a chance to get to today. But in Gmail, there are it's a crazy embedded space of mail, chat, spaces, Google Meet right from Gmail. So cool. Let's go over here. All of my mail is spam anyway, apparently. Over here on the right hand side of the page, I can connect a calendar. Keep, we haven't even mentioned Keep, Google's sticky pads that follow you everywhere. Tasks, which is an embedded taskmaster right in Google Calendar, and of course your contacts. Contacts we won't touch on. It's a pretty cool tool as well, though. But the thing that I really wanted to show you is, picture this. Hockey practice ended at the usual time. You got home, fed the children, had some time to quiet yourself, and then you checked your email and you're like, oh, pretend my child's teacher is a Send Smarter intervention. Oh, I need to respond to this email about that Mrs. So-and-so sent me about my kid. I'm going to reply like normal. Just reply. Thanks for this info. Oh, normally I wouldn't yell in caps to my teacher. Thanks for this info. I'll be following up next week. Okay, it's 11:30. You know that your child's teacher works hard. You don't want her phone to bing by and wake her up. You can sneaky send Google Mail. So I'm going to click on the shark tooth. Again, the shark tooth. And I'm going to schedule send this email for 8 o'clock tomorrow morning rather than 11:30 tonight. I don't want my child's teacher to know that I was checking emails at 11:30. I don't want to wake her up. I'm going to send it tomorrow morning. And it sits in this handy little scheduled folder. So you can always go back and edit it. And it sends at precisely 8 o'clock that morning. I know a lot of school boards are moving towards that model of our staff aren't expected to respond to emails after 6 o'clock. To me, this is a really good courtesy piece of like, okay, I won't send you an email until working hours again. And this allows us to work within our own working hours. Sometimes it's only feasible to look at emails at 11:30, but we can say, okay, I'm going to respect that your working day starts at 9:30 or 9 or 8, and I'll send it to you at the beginning of your working day rather than interrupting your personal time. I love schedule send for that reason and many. It's super cool.
Yeah, and especially in this virtual world where we're working across time zones as well, I will quite often need something at 8 a.m. Eastern time. It's maybe 11:30 my time PM, but yeah, I'm going to send that 6 a.m. my time, so they get it at 8 a.m. their time. But yeah, it just helps deal with time zones as well. So love that. Oh, Bailey, we only have 4 minutes. You know what I think we are going to do?
Can I show the one geo tool?
Okay, perfect. Well, those of you watching the recording, we might go a little over. You can pause and then just come back to us when you have the time. Those.
This will be my mic drop moment. I promise.
Okay, love it.
Google crazy geo tools, even more amazinger than Google. Imagine how excited you would be about your study of Northern Canada if you got to go on a field trip that was hosted by, look at what's pulling this camera that's collecting this information about Iqaluit, a dog sled. What? This image on Google Maps was created by pulling a camera on a dog sled. That's it, Michelle. That's my mic drop moment.
Oh, but that was just too much of a teaser. I think you have to go back just one more. We'll just show. So what Bailey did there, if you do want to explore, she grabbed little Pegman down in the bottom corner. Everyone say, hi, Pegman. Hi, Pegman. But then you drag Pegman to anywhere inside. This is just Google Maps, maps.google.com. There's so much rich imagery inside Google Maps that teachers are using to just expand the learning, just make it that much more authentic. But yeah, dog sled taken footage. Love it.
So cool.
Okay, we'll be diving way into the GeoTools in the 10-part series. We're going to even dive deeper into Chrome. So we actually have 2 sessions focused just on the Chrome browser, specifically dealing with extensions. So one thing, I think Google has done a really, really great job of now starting to embed the tools right within your interface, just like you showed in Gmail. But there are so many other third-party tools that we can add to Chrome to make it even that much more powerful. And so if you teachers, parents, if you haven't heard of Text Helps Read and Write for Google, Bailey, you want to give the 30 seconds Cole's notes?
If we're talking accessibility and we're talking universal accessibility for all, Read and Write for Google by Text Help is doing everything right. It's free for teachers and it's very reasonable cost individually. It's very likely, especially if you have an Alberta school board, that your student already has access to it. Check it out. It's got a screen reader. It's got screen masking to help kids follow text. It's got read aloud, voice text to voice, and voice to text capability. It's everything about accessibility and inclusion in the digital landscape. It's amazing.
Yeah, and Bailey made a great point, especially in Alberta. Quite likely your school has a license. I think that's pretty consistent across Canada. So fortunate to have these tools in our schools. And we'll show you a whole bunch more of them on our 10-part series. So as we mentioned at the beginning, chances are good that your school board has already registered for this series or your parent council, but definitely check with them. Starting on April 18th, every Tuesday and Thursday evening, we are going to be diving deep into these Google tools that are so beneficial for our students. But yeah, for you guys too. We're going to have lots of tidbits for you to use personally. With that, we sure appreciate that you are here or you're watching the recording. If you do have any feedback for us, I just put that feedback form link into the chat. Take a quick look at that. Let us know what you think. And then most importantly, you'll see help. at cobblestonecollective.ca. Any questions at all, don't hesitate to send them our way. We would love to connect with you that way. And with that, Bailey, awesome overview. I'm excited to dig into all of these tools starting on the 18th, but thank you so much for being here. And thank you, parents, for tuning in. We hope to see you in the lessons in the coming weeks. So take care.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.